All right, everyone, welcome. Let me turn on my video so you can see my beautiful face. Welcome to this awesome training. We have the legendary Scott Evans and some friends, and we're going to talk about securing seller concessions. Look, the market is changing, the rules are changing, everything's changing, everyone's freaking out, but there is a guy that has a solution. There is a guy that's always got his head in the right place. And there is a guy that has helped countless agents be successful regardless of market conditions. And that guy, my friends, is going to be sharing with you here in just a moment. But first, I'm going to kick it off to Justin Clark so he can share some thoughts and then we'll get started. Thank you all for being here. Justin, take it away, my man.
Thank you so much for a warm introduction. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Zoom experience. This is Justin Clark, sales manager for the Scott Evans team, and it is always a pleasure spending time with our great real estate community. Whether we're live in person or here on Zoom, our commitment to winning together remains strong. Buyer agents are finished? Couldn't be further from the truth. We don't believe that, not one bit. In fact, we are here today because of the exact opposite. There is opportunity ahead for all of us. Now is our time. When you received the email invitation for today's call, many of you may have asked yourself, what in the world does a loan officer have to say about a real estate agent compensation? It's a fair question, a topic we have always stayed away from, until now. You see, we are vested. You are our customer. We live through your sales cycle, and we are because you are. And it is that philosophy that fuels the fire in our host every single day, the relentless pursuit of enhancing our clients' experience without limit or boundary. It is that relentless pursuit that has earned Scott Evans the esteemed honor of being ranked the #1 originator in the state of California for the past 4 years. We understand the changes you're living through, how important they are to you and your business. We are here to support you. We are here to take advantage. So you all chose to be here this morning. Thank you. I know on Zoom, we can easily get distracted. I know how important you all are and how many people demand your attention. You have a whole world outside of this call, but you chose to be here. So be here, dive in. Let yourself take in the thoughts and strategies we discuss here today from beginning to end, because the future is bright for us all. And with that, it is my esteemed pleasure to introduce our host for today, Scott Evans.
Right. And the crowd goes crazy.
You guys can all see my screen, yet?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good morning, buyer agent. Yes, I'm talking to you. I know that you're doubting yourself. I know that you're feeling uncertain, and I know that the fear mongers and fear peddlers are running rampant. See, I want to be a voice of reason and logic. I want you to know that buyer agents serve an incredible purpose. Buyer agents bring incredible value into real estate transactions. I mean, simply put, the home buying community wants and needs your services. You deserve to be compensated and will continue to be. We've all heard the adage, we are who we hang with. Well, we also become who we listen to. So today, now more than ever, we must surround ourselves with individuals that have a clear focus and sound strategy. See, all real estate agents have a team structure, whether new in the business or in the most seasoned, meaning at a minimum, agents have third-party members, which include mortgage, title, inspector, and the list goes on. See, surrounding ourselves with key partners has always been an extremely valuable to an agent's business. However, it is now more critical than ever. It's been said by some of the most brilliant minds on planet Earth that mindset is everything, right? Whether in business, athletics, or in life, mindset to a matter or subject can make or break us. Right? The Stoics believe a calm mind can handle most anything. We will begin today's call by looking at the changes with a calm, rational mind, eliminating the noise, distraction, and fear. But first, the buyer-broker agreement becoming the new standard is one of the greatest changes that can take place for agents. See, why do I say this? Because to date, 50% of the real estate industry was under a hiring basis. Agents did a presentation, demonstrated their value, and the homeowner made a decision to hire the agent by signing a listing agreement, a contract, right? The remaining 50% of the industry was under a verbal basis. Buyers hired agents verbally. That's why over the years, we've heard phrases such as buyers are liars or buyers are not loyal, have existed, right? The agent that can present themselves and demonstrate value will now, have buyer loyalty, right? This is what has been needed. Second, right? Agent compensation leading up to August 17th, buyer's agent's income was dependent on the skill set of the listing agent. Let me repeat that. Buyer agent's income was dependent on the skill set of a listing agent. See, why do I say this? If a listing agent had a strong listing presentation and was able to secure a 3% for cooperating compensation, right? The buyer agent's compensation was 3%. But if a listing agent had a weaker listing presentation and was only able to secure 2% for cooperating compensation, then the buyer's agent compensation was 2%. So that said, buyer agent's income was for decades was unknown until a property was sourced and then dependent on the skill set of that listing agent. I want you to think about that. In our new world, buyer agent's income is now predetermined in advance by the buyer agent and no longer subjected to a listing agent's presentation skills. So you now have the control. However, we must remain confident, right, with our services and continue to remind ourselves that buyer agents serve an incredible need, right? Securing seller concessions is the new terminology for buyer agent compensation. And, we respect this. So the truth of the matter is that buyer agents compensation has always been built into the sales price. Sellers get supplied net proceed sheets showing the cost of selling, which of course includes compensation. Our position as buyer agents and factoring in the seller credit for compensation should not change. It is part of the transaction. Our new way of doing things starts at the buyer consultation and with a buyer broker agreement to where we establish and predetermine our compensation. So as an example, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I work on a 3% compensation and I've been successfully doing so for many years. I've always negotiated on my behalf of my home buyers, my compensation, which has been factored into the sales price. There's no difference. You've already been doing this. There is no difference. This is a mindset. This is just a mindset. So after a buyer broker agreement is executed and you have sourced the right home for the buyer, it's now time to make an offer. Let's first establish two important factors to the seller, right? Number one is certainty. Sellers are moving across the city, the county, the state, the country, and sometimes across the world, right? How do we give certainty? Fast contingency periods. See, contingency periods that are faster than the norm is how we provide the maximum certainty to sellers. Next, the second most important factor is net proceeds. Sellers want to know what is their net. And it's with this that we aim to achieve during our negotiation process. So let me walk you through as an example. Let's assume you're working with a buyer that has agreed via a buyer broker agreement to a 3% compensation. Remember, the buyer has already agreed with your compensation, which is factored into any and all offers, right? The home buyer finds a home for, you find a home that is $800,000. Let's say you make an offer for $790,000 with a 3% seller credit towards compensation. One of few scenarios that will take place. If the seller accepts, great. There's nothing to talk about. However, if let's say the seller and listing agent counter a $790,000 with a 2% seller credit, based on this counteroffer, we're missing a 1% of the seller credit. So 1% of 790 is approximately $8,000. So a price of $798 with a 3% seller credit towards your compensation is the same net proceeds to the seller. It's the same. The seller gets the proceeds they're asking, right? And they're seeking. The buyer agent gets their agreed compensation. And most importantly, the buyer gets the home they want. In this example, it is important to remember that the buyer has already agreed to your compensation of 3%. So every offer you would make on their behalf would include the agreed amount, right? The buyer is on board. I mean, do buyers have the ability to pay their compensation outside the transaction? I mean, they do. But I'm confident to say that the vast majority, if not all, would rather have it included into the sales price. Some may say, Scott, not every agent is going to counter this way. Regardless of how they counter, right? The basic fundamentals and the mathematics of including your agreed compensation within the purchase is the mindset we should have on this matter, right? Never deviate. So what will be one of the common objections listing agents will have when building seller credits into the sales price? The answer, appraise value, right? How do we structure the absolute best offer, which will combat the appraisal objection, right? And provide sellers with the most certainty. And let's go back to 2020. So as we recall, we entered a heavy multiple offer environment. Housing inventory dipped below 1 month in most markets, and multiple offers were practically everywhere. And it was at this time I hosted an emergency Zoom meeting, just like what we're having today, to provide agents with the serum of how to compete and win by eliminating buyer competition. And I'm honored to say, we have become the #1 mortgage team for the most contracts won in Southern California in a multiple offer situation during the years 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. See, our agents were winning at the absolute highest level. My 7 elements of a winning offer was incredibly valuable during those competitive years. However, the 7 elements are now even more powerful for agents to secure seller concessions. So it's important that we cover the 7 elements, and everyone on the Zoom embodies them going forward. So what are the 7 elements? Element number 1 is sales price. As you know, you're going to meet with your buyers and collectively come up with the appropriate offer price. This is between you and the buyer. Element number two is inspection period. The inspection period is also known as the decision-making period. During this time, not only will the inspection be handled, but also at the same time, buyers are making decision during that time, right? Whether they're seeing the house for the first time, checking out the school system, right? They're making a decision, which is also the decision-making period. So we've been stressing to our agents to have a 5-day inspection period. This is how we should be structuring our offers, giving the seller certainty. Element number 3, the loan approval period, right? One of the most overlooked elements of all 7. And I've been preaching about loan approval periods, since 2010 for 14 years, right? Loan approval period is single-handedly one of the most important winning elements of the 7. See, working with our team, the Scott Evans team, once your client gets pre-approved, we'll get them conditionally underwritten so you can waive the loan contingencies. That's right, waive. This is supplying the seller with maximum certainty. Element number 4, waiving the appraisal contingencies. See, waiving the appraisal contingencies has been something we've been promoting since 2020 in a multiple offer situation. However, we've been waiving appraisal contingencies safely for our buyers because what we're doing is we're completing them during the 5-day inspection period through which the buyer makes a decision. If appraised value comes in below the contract price, they can make a decision, right? It can open up renegotiations. Perhaps the loan can change. Perhaps the buyer wants to come in with the difference. See, waiving the appraisals contingency comes in a authoritative, giving the seller maximum certainty in the shortest period of time. Element number 5, a 10-day closing. So as you know, I've been promoting a 10-day closing for years, right? Month in, month out, a large percentage, right, Sam, of our transactions are closed in 10 days, right? It gives maximum leverage during the negotiations. If a home is vacant, the seller more than likely does not want to pay for an empty house. getting it off their hands gives us the strength during the negotiation process. 10-day closings are at your disposal, right? And critical during the process because you're giving the seller their proceeds quickly. Element number 6, man, that's a good looking dude. Contacting the listing agent. So since 2010, I've been instructing my great real estate partners to text me personally the listing agent's contact information. I don't delegate this task. I call every single listing agent, validating the facts and putting my entire reputation here in San Diego County and number one loan officer in Southern California that we will close and fund successfully, right? That we will meet all the timelines listed within the sales contract. And I know, right now, some of you may be not familiar with our offer methods. So these approval periods, they can sound quick to you. So I want you to go into the mindset of understanding that I'm calling the listing agent to validate that I will meet these timelines. Element number 7, copying me on the offer, copying me personally with my personal email. I've been instructing my agents for 14 years straight to copy me on every offer you send so I can put in writing that I will validate not only the buyer's credentials and strength, but I will all the timelines that you listed within your offer that I am putting my reputation on the line. And many of you know, I know what you're thinking right now. How are you completing appraisals so quickly? 5 days seems way too fast. So I like to bring on my special guest and business ally, Amanda Stadley from Bluebird Valuations AMC, which is the appraisal management company that I've been using for over a decade. So Amanda, please introduce yourself and share your message.
Hi, everyone. My name's Amanda. I'm the Director of Client Relations here at Bluebird Valuation AMC. We are now a part of the largest appraisal management company in the nation, and we're facilitating over 2,000 orders a month right now, which doesn't even include our digital. So we're looking probably closer to 3,000 a month. We've been serving the Scott Evans team and his real estate clients for close to 15 years now. And I said 15 years. I promise you it's 15 years. It's been a really long time. We have a great relationship. And Scott's unorthodox approach and demand for his speed for his agents has been in effect since we started doing business together. When our appraisal gets ordered, it is directed from Scott's branch directly to our appraisers, and they know it's go time and they have to deliver on those timelines. So we're in full support of everything Scott is sharing with you today, and we will continue to do all we can to support the mission from our end here at Bluebird.
Thank you for your continued support, Amanda. I also know many, thank you. So I also know that many of you are asking, well, how you've been delivering on no loan contingencies on our loan approvals and closing in 10 days. Well, I'd like to now bring on another special guest and valued team member, our underwriting and operations manager, Valerie Contino. Valerie, please introduce yourself and share your message.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning. This is Valerie Contino. I'm a 30-year industry professional and underwriting and operations manager with the Scott Evans team. I've had the honor of serving with the Scott Evans team and our clients for the past 14 years. I know who our customer is, and that is you, the real estate agent. When I first joined the team, Scott shared his aggressive loan approval and closing timeframes. At first, I thought he was nuts. And then I said, okay, let's roll. We live and die by our commitment dates. So when our clients have a tight time frame, me and our team of underwriters know that winning is the only option. We don't miss commitment dates, never have, we never will. We will never fail you.
Thank you, Valerie. So as you can see, the Scott Evans team is 100% committed to our agent success from all parts of our operations. But you don't have to take our word for it. I'd love to share with you a story about an agent. His name was Jake McCaffrey, and who, just like you, was seeing my emails inviting him to the event I was hosting. And well, it took him over a year to come to one of my events, and he just came last Wednesday at Seasons 52 in La Jolla for my Winning the Buyer presentation Part 3 event. And after the event, he was so impressed that he started working with us immediately. And he referred a client to us on last Thursday. So he followed my simple pre-approval process And Friday night, the clients wanted to make an offer on this particular property that's shown. His clients got their offer accepted following the 7 elements of a winning offer: 5-day contingency period, waiving the loan, waiving the appraisal, and closing in 10 days. He got me the contract Friday night, right before Labor Day weekend. Disclosures sent out, appraisal ordered, appraiser reached out over the weekend, right? The machine doesn't stop. The loan was submitted into underwriting, back into underwriting over that 3-day weekend, right? We got the loan approval back on Tuesday morning, the appraisal back on Tuesday. Here are the timelines listed right here. Here's the property address, right? Today, the file will be clear to close. The CD has already been sent out as of yesterday. The file will be cleared to close. Loan docs out today. The closing is on Monday. So I want to bring up this: 4 of the 10 days were weekends. 1 of the 10 days was a holiday during a 10-day closing. So mind you, I've never worked with this agent before, just like some of you today. And this is one example of many of our 10-day closings we have done. You know, if it were up to me, I'd prefer every single one of you on this Zoom go and write a bunch of 10-day closings. I mean, heck, it would be an incredible September. But you see, folks, the 7 elements of a winning offer works. I'm willing to put my first impression working with you and our business relationship on the line to show you I put my money where my mouth is. So let's touch on seller credits that are allowed above and beyond compensation. So I'm referring to seller credits for closing costs, prepaid items, or interest rate buydowns. See, there is no change for seller credits allowance allowed by all the agencies, which includes FHA, VA, conventional, and jumbo financing, right? So as an example, FHA has always allowed up to 6% for seller credits and continues to allow 6%. Compensation credits are allowed to be added on top of that 6% allowance in this example. So I want to repeat, nothing has changed. I would like to invite all of you to my upcoming luncheon called Winning the Buyer Presentation Part 4. We will cover in more details on how to strengthen our buyer presentation, how to strengthen our negotiation techniques, and many more topics. So I will be in Riverside on September 10th, San Diego, September 12th, LA on September 17th, and Orange County, Costa Mesa on September 18th. If you would like to register, you can go to scottevansevents.com. So agents, I am with you. I am asking to be your ally during this transition. It has taken me years of proving myself to myself, right? To be able to say to you all, there is no better loan officer and team for you in your business. So people ask me, how can you refer me starting today and win and secure seller concessions, right? Group text with the client and me personally. Yes, me personally, my direct cell phone right there, right? Sam texting me is right there, my cell phone right there on the screen for the past 18 years. It's 619-723-7289, right? If I'm not currently doing business with you, give me the opportunity, right? If you have questions, whether I'm involved in a transaction or not, can I please be your resource personally, which I can say, and I hope that you can believe and understand what I'm saying. I am 100% committed to every single one of you that is on the Zoom. I hope you know that firmly, that your best days are 100% ahead of us. So let us work closely together with each individual buyer. Let us structure our offers accordingly. Let us go over objections that the listing agents can have. Let us remain confident in the services that you provide. Buyer agent services are needed and it will not go away, right? Avoid the naysayers, avoid the fear mongers. Be careful who you listen to, right? We will continue to win together, and I am personally here with each and every one of you. So I'd love for you all to text me right now. Tell me what you thought about today's call, and perhaps dropping your name in the text message so I can save you in my phone. And I'll send you back my contact information so you can be saved in your phone, and we can text each other throughout the day, some emojis back and forth. So step number one, you text me personally, do a group text with the client with my personal cell, 619-723-7289. Or you can have clients call 7 days a week to our bat line, which will also be in my contact information when I text you back. And the third way, you can do an email to our team distribution. I prefer just a simple text message, Scott meet Jane, Jane meet Scott. So let's continue winning. Let's do what we do best by serving the customer to the highest level. There's no better time in our market. I look forward to winning with each of you, and thank you for your time.
Scott, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Do you have time if there's any Q&A?
Yes, fire away.
All right.
Yeah.
If you have questions, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask away, or you can throw it in the Q&A chat. But while we wait for some of those to potentially come in, you know, I was just texting. I got a text from one of our top producers that's on the webinar, and his message to me was, I'm going to read it to you. Scott Evans' team is pretty badass. 5-day inspection with no appraisal and no loan contingency. That's next level. And my reply to him was, you know, obviously so pumped to be working with him, but really pumped because I know that he can help everyone move the needle. And I've said for years is real estate is a team sport. And if you want to win the game, you need to have a dream team. And having someone like Scott and his team here to support us and be, you know, all-star players on our dream team, I think it's a big opportunity. And for those of us that see the opportunity and want to win, man, no one better to bring on as a partner in this game with us than Scott and his team. So any questions? If you do, go and ask away. You can unmute yourself, or you can throw it in the Q&A. And if not, if you don't have anything else, Scott, if nothing comes up.
I mean, I have since we have people here on the call, what I'll do is let me give another strategy. Those that know that we have tons of different concepts for both buyers agents and listing agents. So I figure I'll throw something else on the call.
Before you do that, real quick.
Yeah.
Zap just asked, hey, Scott, amazing presentation. Can you explain how you're able to do the no appraisal contingency with FHA VA, specifically VA appraisers?
Yeah. So first of all, the FHA appraisers is our, you know, it's the panel of appraisers that we use with Amanda. So it's the same appraisers for conventional jumbo and conventional jumbo FHA, all the same appraisers. So they're committed to getting those appraisals back within 5 days. With VA, I want to remind you all, I've been the #1 VA loan officer since 2018 per Scotsman's Guide. Now I'm ranked number 3, but I've been #1 many times. I know all the VA appraisers, right? I've been tracking them for the past 5 years. So when there's an order that goes out, I personally call that VA appraiser. Hey, Jim, great to see your name on the order. You know, you did XYZ properties. Oh, Scott, you know, how you been? So as you saw, Jim, we're in a competitive situation. And, you know, in order to get this offer accepted, we needed to do a 10-day close with a 5-day inspection period. Is there any way that you can get the appraisal back for us within that 5-day inspection period? I'd like to have it done. So in case there's any repairs or things like that, we could see it up front. Oh, Scott, yeah, totally. So I'm not asking them to do anything about value. I'm just asking them to get their appraisal back.
Love it. Awesome.
So that's what I mean, I have, you know, examples of 10-day closings on VA. When an offer is going out, I'm sending the 10-day closings examples to the listing agent, because those that came to our presentation, part 2, part 3, we actually talked about persuasion. And one of the ways to persuade someone is providing proof. So we provide proof to the listing agent of examples of recent closings, whether it's VA, whatever the case is, we will provide that, because about 30% of our transactions every month are 10-day closings, right? None of you on the Zoom are going to throw me a curveball. Oh my God, Sam, I just got a 10-day closing. What am I going to do? we are prepared. We're ready. We thrive off of these closings, right? Time kills all deals, right? We've all had those 45-day closings, those 60-day closings, and all of a sudden, day 45, there's a scramble, right? When you're going 100 miles an hour down the freeway, all you're looking at is driving down the freeway. It's the same when you're, doing a fast closing. Everyone is focused on, the fast closing, and it's a different type of, it's fun. We are addicted to it, and we're committed. We live and die by our commitment dates.
Love it. All right. If you have any other questions, throw them in. And looks like you have a few other things to share with us, Scott.
Yeah, I figured, I might as well, I'll give something, because this is a challenge that agents are experiencing in today's market, right? Condominiums. You got to have your head in the sand if you don't realize the issues that are on condos. This is the only time that we recommend having a contingency period is on a condo, because we don't control the HOA and getting, the documents back, right? So in Florida, South Florida, there was a condominium that crashed that killed 80+ people. After the research was done, it was due to structural issues. And the condo completely crashed. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac changed their guidelines per September 18th, where lenders are required to get the budget and reserve study, and they're looking for what are called critical repairs. Critical repairs are, special assessments. Those, the SB 326, for the balconies and all that type of stuff. They're getting that, and they're looking for any type of structural issues or deferred maintenance. And if it's identified a critical repair, it becomes ineligible for conventional financing. I think, for years, agents were used to, oh, it's a conventional loan, 30% down, not an issue, right? Oh, we only have to worry about FHA and VA. Not the case. So now lenders are required to get the budget and reserve study. I don't know if you all have ever looked at how some of those documents, do you think loan officers know what they're looking for? Probably not. Our team does, right? Second thing, master insurance. There's tons of insurance issues that is happening in the state of California. There's a lot of condo complexes that don't have the proper insurance coverage. I think it's important to get that stuff vetted out in the beginning. And litigation, not so much construction defect litigation, but there's more critical repair litigation that comes up. So these are the three major issues. See, when selling a condominium and presenting and on the listing side, you're really selling two components, right? The interior space is what you all are running. You're running your price per square footage, and you're really determining the price for that particular condominium. But the association is critically important, because the association determines the financing ability. See, as I put, the higher the down payment, the smaller the pool of buyer. The smaller the down payment, the bigger the pool of the buyer, right? So it makes sense understanding this up front. So in an effort to provide even more value to all of you that are on the listing side, we provided a simple free process for you to determine the financing up front, not while you're already in contract 15 days down the line, realizing there's an issue. So step one of our 6 steps, obtain the budget and reserve study from the seller. The seller is entitled to it. They either have it or they don't. If they don't, reach out to the HOA, get the budget and reserve study. Second, get the master insurance, right? They're entitled to it as well. Third, we're going to ask the seller, because it's a little easier sometimes for them to ask these questions, or someone we need to get this information. What's the owner occupancy percentage? The reason we're asking that is because we've been doing a lot of FHA spot approvals within our 10-day closing. In addition, if we're going to do an investment property with 20% down, we need to know what the owner occupancy percentage is. That's the first question. Second, does one entity owe more than 10%? If there's ever going to be an issue that comes up, that would be one. So we just want to ask that question. And is there any litigation, just to make sure if there's any critical repair litigation? So those 3 questions are the initial questions. And you're going to email the name, the budget, the reserve study, the master insurance, and the HOA contact info to Evans Condo. This is my team, right? We are reviewing everything you provided to us within 48 hours and providing the financing ability of the association to you. FHA, VA, If we can get the complex VA approved, if it's not already VA approved, if we can do a spot approval, we're providing Fannie, Freddie, everything to you. In fact, those are on the call, and Suzanne, I think I saw you on the call. She remembers there's something called a PERS approval. A PERS approval is Fannie Mae's approval of the condo complex. And in order to look up if there's a Fannie Mae approval, you actually have to have credentials for Fannie Mae to look in. And none of you have that, but we do. The reason why that's important is because when there's a PERS approval, we don't need any HOA documents whatsoever except for the master insurance. So do you think that's going to give more certainty when the offer is going out, right, on the buy side, if we know that there's a Fannie Mae approval and all we need is the master insurance? Or on the listing side, if you know that any offers that's coming in, Fannie Mae has already approved the condo complex and all you need is the master insurance, they don't need to order any HOA documents whatsoever. So in 48 hours, we'll provide you the financing ability of the association. We'll provide you MLS compliant verbiage. This condominium association financials have been reviewed by the Scott Evans team and may be eligible for down payment as little as 3% or 3.5%. Buyers are not required to use Scott Evans as a cross-country mortgage, have offer accepted. We operate 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. My cell phone. And then on Scott Evans marketing, you can provide, we provide all kinds of listing flyers, payment flyers, etc. on Scott Evans marketing. And you can even follow this process on the buyer side, where we will vet out condominiums for any buyers that you're working with that are looking to purchase a home. So Sam, I'll send this to you. And more importantly, the 6 steps for condo options. It's a free service. I don't know why every listing agent doesn't use the service to figure out what financing options, whether they use us or not, find out upfront, not while you're already in contract.
Love it. We can definitely send that out and also post it in the group. That was a solid session.
Thank you.
If there's any other questions, let us know. If not, look, you owe it to yourself to at least explore the opportunity to work with Scott and his team. Real with the fact that a lot of us already have relationships, and that's okay. But sometimes maybe you need a backup. Maybe you need someone that can get something done that other people can't. And what a great way to try working with Scott and his team and see where it takes you. So if there's no other questions, big thank you to Scott and the team for being on today. Thank you all for hanging out, and we'll continue to have more of these with Scott, and watch out for the announcements. If there's anything we can do to help, let us know. Make it a great day. Thank you for all of your time, and we'll talk to you guys soon.